Hey everybody, welcome to the Dutchman's Wood Shack. I'm back. Well, I can't get it on my phone anymore, but that's okay. I think it works better here. Now, what I did here, I wanted to show you um, when I'm taking material off, it goes into my workbench. Okay, so my workbench is there. So what I did is I had panels I had made. I can move them around. All right, so it works out pretty good. I was gonna take it so they can go, past each other and buy, but no, I'm gonna put another set in here. Um, but I right now this is temporary. I'm just trying to see how this works. I like making these doors. The other side will have the same thing. I gotta figure out a way to confine all this dust when I make it, because then doing bowls like this, it gets kind of crazy. Now back here it's the same thing. It goes out that way, and it gets on that, which is a pain. So I had a tarp across here, but I think what I'm doing is gonna get some bifold doors. I'm gonna go reuse it next week probably and get some bifold doors and see. I actually want to see. I don't know what the distance is, but I might have to build some wall up around here or something. But anyway, yeah, I might just stick with the. I might just stick with the tarp too, which is sitting over there. Anyway, I wanted to show you some of the stuff I'm working on. Okay, so now I have this piece of Osage. Great color and grain combination on this thing, and it really looks great. The backside has a bark on it. What I'm trying to do here is I've got to take a little bit off in here. Now there's rings in here. The right in here is a groove. So, and then I've got this right here, which is not a problem because I'll just fill that up with glue. I have Gorilla Glue I use on it. So what I've done, I'm kind of remodeling at the same time. I've got other projects I'm working on, but I want to show you this. I've got my super sucker for my Powermatic vacuum here, and it does okay when you're sanding. It doesn't pick up when you're a lot of this debris when you're carving out stuff, but can't ever. It's hard to get everything. So I'm trying to get at least 50 to over 50%. I'll never get 100%, but that's okay. So what I'm doing now, I gotta get a piece of. Hang on a second. I'm gonna show you in a minute. I have to get a paper towel. I'm also working on a tabletop. I had a table I built a while ago, and I'm gonna get rid of it because I'm gonna make more. And the top, it got damaged. I was doing shows with it, and it got damaged a little bit. So now, a lot of guys like to wear masks and stuff. I do too, usually. But I'm going to show you what I'm doing here. Yeah, I can figure out which way this goes. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my carving tool, my corner. Where is this? Hopefully, I'm gonna. Now, as I'm working with this, I think I have to go down a little bit more. The only bad thing about this, okay, because I'm in close quarters, and I didn't make on the backside. I didn't make a mortise or tenon, so because the way I'm doing this bowl is a little bit different than I normally do. Okay, so with this, there's a difference between this and this. Okay, so I have three. I have a smaller curved one than this, but the carbide tip stuff. Okay, so this one you could go to about here, and that's it. So from here to here is about 6 inches. That's how much room you can go inside and carve. This one, it starts out here and works there. So actually, you got 3 inches here, but it's over here and not here. You ever ask yourself why? Well, you turn this way. So when you're on here, like, it's really easy to turn. A lot of times I'll just slide it over. Yeah, normally I have this off, but I'm doing it in a different style. All I want to do is just take a little bit out of the lip. So now the light, since I reinstalled the light, it's down lower than I want it, so it's probably going to be up here on the roof the next time. It makes it a little bit easier to work with, and it's not in the way of the camera. So anyway, I'm just going to barely touch it because I don't want to spend too much time doing this. I'm sanding it, trying to get it smooth. Now, the one thing that you have to worry about now, you're going, it's rotating this way. Okay, as it's rotating this way, you're also leaving rings. So you get the rings here on the outside, and they're not bad. If you've got really good sharp tools, usually they don't leave that much of one. But you're going against the grain because the grain's this way, and so when you're going around, you're going against the grain. So the end grain, which is this end and this end, so log was like this, it's always going to have a little bit of a rough surface in here because what you're doing is peeling the wood out like a leaf or something. You're peeling it out. So usually what I do anyway, and I think most guys do this, is you take a palm sander or a circular sander and sand it down and get it where you want it. Inside, same thing. Problem with the inside is it's hard to get something that goes with the reveal sometimes. So you have to work a little bit harder on the inside. Same reason you want to get the rings out of it. The bottom is another story. I get it half right and half wrong sometimes. I don't know it until after I put the first coat varnish on there, and sometimes it's a pain. But okay, I'm going to do this a little bit. Now, you don't want to put a lot of pressure on it when you're doing something like this. You just want to get enough off to make it look halfway decent. And then what you do is you take and you sand it. Now, usually I don't leave it on. Hang on a second here. Let me get my mask on. Well, you can never have enough mask. You don't want to have bad lungs. I've already got some I used to be a firefighter, so there you go. Okay, so. Okay, here we go. there today? I guess not. Anyway, as you can see, it's cleaned up a little bit. All right, so you get a little bit of it here, but that's typical of, you know, what you got to clean up. Now I was using 80 grit. I usually go and do 80 to 120 to 220 and 320. So it depends on the wood. The harder woods, I don't have to jump all over the place like that. Usually I take the 80 grit to get it smooth. Then I'll come back with like 220 or 320 just to see what it looks like, and then fine tune it from there, inside and out. Same idea. The last thing I'll do is I'll take my palm sanders and come over here and do this. Now I have a couple of different devices I use. Hang on a second here. This one's really good. I've got two of these. I got a smaller version, and I got to get new. I have to get new pads. But these I swear by, because what happens is you bring them in like this, you know, and they actually work. Normally I have this off. But if you have any imperfection in there, it actually gets in it and does a good job of it. And then same thing on the outside. It gets places where you can't get. You know, and if you get the right sandpaper, the right grit on it, and it looks pretty good. See that? It gets to spinning, baby. Okay, so I'm about done with the inside of that. What I got to do, see, right here is a mess. I don't know if you can see it right in here. Again, it's the same idea where you're going against the grain and it leaves a mess. That's just common occurrence. This one here, the way, excuse me, the way I'm doing it, what I'll probably do, once I get somewhat of a finish on it, I'll take this, take it off, take it over to the drill press, take the bottom off. Because right now, I want to get this done. I want to do this, so it's almost going to be a little second to the last thing I do it. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to get all the bad stuff off. You know, I can feel it right here. There's an indentation for my gougers, for my tools. Right in here, and right here. Well, this one's not so bad. Let's see, now that works pretty good. And that works pretty good that way. All right. So the next step is I get the really fine stuff. That'll take care of the stuff that's on here and show me where rings are. Wait a minute. Okay, sanding paper. So this box here works pretty good. And it goes 150, 240, 320, 400, 600 is the highest it can go. Now, I usually use, I go as far as 620 or 320, but I use the 400 and the 600 to finish it. So you always want to get that really good, shiny, smooth look. The higher the grit, the better you're off. Sometimes you go up and people say, what do you use 1,000 grit? Well, if you're doing resin work, you can do it that way too. But what I'm doing today is I'm going to go to the 320. So it's easier to get a really good finish if you spend more time prepping your bowl. Now I have that one imperfection I showed you earlier. Okay, so The other thing is, okay, and I tell this, I swear by this to people. Get yourself some decent sandpaper. Now what I've done is basically when I get to it right now, I can take this off and work on it. What I'm gonna do, so there's a little bit of a gouge right there, right there. But I don't want to take my gouging tools in there anymore. So this is the reason why I polish stuff the way I do first, because I want to see where the imperfections are. And you can work in it. Now, there's always going to be one side that's a little bit more, I don't want to say concave, but for some reason the inside always has one side, the gouges are deeper than the other. So, you know, the idea is to try and get the gouges out. See that right there? Well, see, you're going to have to sand it this way because the way the grain is, you have to basically work at it. So I've got tools I can stick in there. It usually comes out, you know. And I also take and blow some stuff in there, and I think I got that out. Yeah, pretty much. So now the inside, the key for doing this. The inside here, you know, there's a little bit of a ridge there, but that's easy to get out. You don't want to gouge too much. Again, you don't want to use the tools when you have to. When I go to take this out, I take it over in a drill press over there, and I gouge it, and I basically take a sander to it. The key is to get as low as you can when you take this up with your tool, get it out of there. Because once I'm done on this, I got to go over there, take this, flip it around and flatten the bottom so it works. I left it this way on purpose because I wanted it to look different, and I've done it so many different ways since I started. This is one of the typical ways I used to do it when I did bowls or did cups and stuff like that. It was like that. So hang on a second here. Okay, so the other reason I put this wall up here, now I didn't want to completely close it off, is because I got that purifier right there, my jet purifier, air purification system. All right, so I could get into here. So when I get ag together, I have to put a different set of wood up here. I'm gonna do these. All it is, I actually used pallet wood, simple, cheap, you know. And they're gonna slide side by side, so that I can open them all the way up here or up there. Right now, I'm doing this to see how it works. The key was to keep this stuff when I'm using my bolt gouge, it going this way. Because when you're working back and forth like this, the bolt gouge all it wants to do is shoot things this way and this way. It's like this way. When I was doing this bowl, when I first started taking the chunks out of it, it was fine dust, and you had to wear your mask, and it was pretty nasty. It was pretty nasty. I know it's been a while since I've been on here, and I apologize, but I tried to get the kinks out of my phone. I couldn't, so oh well. Anyway, so now, and then what I usually do is I go like this. Now, I'm going to use, because this bowl is, because of this crack right here, I got something I'm going to use. I'm going to blow there. So, and I love this stuff. It works great. So, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to use Gorilla Glue. How many of you guys use Gorilla Glue to fill in holes? The thing that you could do with this, if you wanted to do, you could make a putty with this. I've done this. You could actually make a putty and fill it in there. And I've done it several occasions. It works great. Works great. And I've tried that, and I tell you, I tried the resin gig. It doesn't work. Every time I do the resin gig, it turns white. And I haven't gotten that down yet. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do this. So I'm trying to get all the kinks out of it before I take the middle off, because it makes it a heck of a lot easier when you do that. Don't worry, I got more bowls to carve. I got more wood. The big thing with me is I got a couple sources I go to, and if I was to talk to people about this, you know, what you want to do is find a source that you can rely on. It's good wood. It isn't going to be too expensive. Some of the guys will give you crappy wood at a really high price, and it is what it is, I guess. All right. See, this is what I work on right there. This is going to be flat. So when you set it down, I'm going to try and leave as much bark as I can. But I love this color. You see the color content in that? Look at that. I know my light doesn't do it any justice, but this is Osage. And then you got the grain. So what I'm doing here is I'm prepping this, and I'm going to put some Gorilla Glue in there. I swear by this stuff. It dries pretty quick too. And you can see I've gone through quite a bit. So I was using this to make models with too. It works great. Now, if you want to do cosmetically work on it, I'll probably do this a little bit. I use this fine dust. That's the one thing about Osage I love. You end up getting this fine dust look. Oh my gosh. Now, a lot of people don't know this story. Now, let me tell you. Now, my background's in forestry, so So I know a lot about trees. Every time you go around the world or go around traveling, I look at trees. There's different species of tree all over the place, right? So one of the biggest things that I like is that the grain in trees. Now, a lot of my friends like to do the rings around the outside and the carving and staining and stuff. But I hate doing it on something like this. It's got such great color content to it. Why are you going to do that? You know, I mean, you're kind of, this is Mother Nature at its best. So I like this idea. The problem is people don't take advantage of it, and they'd rather put it in, you know, it's like you're doing a 3D printer or something like that. No. So I was fortunate that I got this from Batavia Hardwoods. They're open today till 4. It's on McKee Street. It's right close to, it's like a half a block away from 31, Highway 31. This stuff is awesome. I mean, you can't ask for anything better. Now, I know a lot of guys like to do the live edge, where they have the bark on the outside. Yeah, I don't like to do that. I'm going to do it. I started out to do it, believe it or not, but then I got sidetracked. So I changed my mind in the midstream. So, all right, I'm going to put this up right now. Okay, so here's my next project. And what we have here is actually a piece of wood that I cut that was like, I want to say 2 by 2, 2 foot by 2 foot. It's actually off of a table that was in Dick's Sporting Goods. Yes, I'm a junk collector. But I've got some more right behind me over here. But I'm just keeping those for regular tabletops. Now, what I did here is I centered, when it was square, I centered the center of the workpiece. And I came up with where it's supposed to be. That's how you go corner to corner, and that's how you find your center to put your centerpiece on. And you got this one, same thing, backside. I kind of match them up. I try to match them up. And the only downfall is sometimes you're a little off because you're a little off on this, which is fine. You can also put it on here and balance it. I've got a couple of small levels they can use on to balance it. It's a little bit more difficult. You're better off finding it. If you're using a piece of raw wood like I just did, it's a little bit different story. It's tricky. A lot of the guys, like to put that metal piece that goes on here, and you can, and I can. I should probably. It makes it so it doesn't wobble. So if there's any imperfection, I might do that. So what I got to do here is just connect my pipe. Just kind of I've been working on this shop for years. I just decided to do something else. So I hear anyway, questions or comments. I'll be on more often. I'll try and schedule something. I'm most of the time, probably the last year or so, I've been on, since my hip surgery, I've been on Jeff's Tram World, HON and O-Gauge. That's my other channel, because I got a layout in the other room over there. So I kind of like combine the two, because I'm making landscaping, my own trees, buildings, whatever, both with kits and both with kits and making your own out of wood. Yes, there is woodworking. So okay, so I'll show you what I'm talking about. If I can find it. It's a chuck, sort of a chuck. So you got this, and you want to put this. You want to find the center. You try to line it up as best you can on your lines. On your lines. On your lines. Good set. Line it. Oh, no. Okay, so if I'm a little different than everybody else, I'm not. I apologize, but this is my way of doing things. At the end of the day, it's my. All right. Yeah, so I'm still gonna do tool time. I don't know whether it's gonna be Tuesday or Thursday. I'd figure T, tool time Tuesday, tool time Thursday, but tool time Tuesday is Taco Tuesday too. Oh, I can have tacos here at the same time I'm doing something, Oh, that's cool. Maybe I can have, since I like tools, maybe I'll bring in a margarita mixer or something. Be like Tim the Toolman Taylor. I miss that show. Okay, so what I want to do here is I want to make a little bit of a, we'll see what I'm doing. Yeah. So, okay, so now I got that. Take this. I love these. You know how many different kinds of hammers there are? I mean, you go into Lowe's or Home Depot someplace, or Menards, and there's like, okay, why do we have to have 100 different hammers? It's weird. Okay, so first I gotta get some screws. I can find my drill. There it is. Okay, so little let you in a little secret here. You don't want to you put the screws on the side that you're going to have as the bottom. Ah, why? Because then you're going to put holes in it. So what I'm doing here is basically, I'm basically putting holes on the side I'm gouging out. So this will be the top that I want to clean out, right? Hello. You'll see why I'm doing what I'm doing here in a minute. It actually makes life a little bit easier. There's different ways of doing this. This is kind of a chuck. Oh, my battery's in. Okay, so this is what comes with your lathe. Okay, so when you get a lathe, you usually get a chuck like this. It's not like a regular chuck. This is a chuck. You know who Chuck is? Charlie? Chuck the Chuck? What Chuck? No. Okay, so this is a chuck. No, you don't want to use this on here yet. What you can though, there are adapters in here to put it in here to screw a hole through here. And you basically, there's a different adapter, but this one's the easiest one. And I didn't feel like drilling a hole and threading and all that kind of stuff. It's not worth it. So this is your chuck. Now, you could get adapters to make the bowl wider. So the bowl chuck is this stuff. And you can end up making when you put, what happens is, oh man, yeah, not good. You take these and you see all the holes, they're all threaded. You could put, there's little stuff things that you put on there. There's two different sizes. This is the bigger size, the taller size. And you use an Allen wrench on it or a hex nut wrench. When you put them in the holes here, and you can make a different size, so you could take and flip this thing around, and you could do the back side. You can do all kinds of stuff. There's different kinds of chucks. There's a bunch of, that's the thing with woodworking. I tell you right off the bat, with doing this lathe stuff, you can never have enough tools. Never. And this whole thing here is the cheapest part of the whole job. So there you go. Anyway, I'm gonna put this back in there. I can make pens and all that too. But when you're gonna do a bowl, no matter whatever you do, you read up, study, and figure out how you're gonna do it and what you need to do. Like tools, using the proper tools are the best way to do this. Do your job. Now, since this thing's a little antiquated, the little stopper deal in here, I have to do this. It's not a problem though, and I'm not giving up on it. Why do I need to go out and buy a new lathe when this one works just right? It's just fine for me. These things get jammed in there. Okay, so you usually put the chuck on this. Now I'll show you what I'm doing here. There's a reason for it, what I just did. And that is this. Voila. Right? Now, whenever you start this up, stand off to the side. Make sure it don't fall off. See that? Now, what I'm going to do here is I got to set this thing up. Now, you don't have a lot of room. I can't put this underneath. This is the only drawback about this thing. You know, so normally I have to get smaller pieces, but if you want to do a really big bowl, like I'm trying to make a salad bowl, it's kind of hard with this. So what I'm doing here, you learn. It's a process, you learn. You're gonna be like Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Class, shut up. Remember that? I mean, that's going way back. Okay, so now I'm gonna pound on this. Pound on it. I knew I liked doing this kind of work. I think a pound on stuff. Okay, so now I tighten that down. Okay, so I have a set speed. I'm usually, when I bowl gouge this stuff, and I set it, but I can play with it and go higher, faster, or lower. Right now I'm sitting at B2. I believe I'm sitting at 1,000 RPM. The lowest I could go is 650. The highest I can go is 4,000. I've done it up at 1,600. I started out actually doing it 1,600. I don't know, everybody that's out there that does bowl turning or making things like this, they have their set speed. And I don't know what it is. It's whatever they're preferred at. I don't know if there's a difference. So, the thing about doing it this way, now I've got here, I drew a circle in here, so that's where I want my outer perimeter to be when I start getting down to that point. That's where I want to be as far as the outside perimeter I want to make it. Now, it changes. Okay, it changes. There might be an imperfection in the wood, there might be a crack, it might be whatever. You know, there's a lot of things that are variables. The idea with this bowl is, now I made another one, and it's kind of a straight down, a little bit curved, and what I want to do with this bowl is kind of shape it to where it's like this. Instead of it being like this or like this, I want more of a bowl, a saucer look. The trick with that is, now this is the top and this is the bottom. The trick with that is, now if you're going to put this on a chuck, you would be best, because of how you don't have a lot of room. There's about 3 inches here. You want to be able to put it's better to do a mortise part than a tenon. And the mortise, what I'm saying, mortise and tenon, so that people know. A mortise is the inside part of it. All right, so you got to gouge the inside. The tenon is what's sticking out. So let's say this is a tenon, it's sticking out like that. That's when it's sticking out. Well, see, you'd have to take that much off. You'd have to take a 1/4 inch off. And I like to have the tenon or the mortise part, because what happens is, even though it shallows your bowl out inside, that's the other thing. You have to, all these measurements, you have to think in your head, how far down you want to gouge it. I'm trying to see where my thickness is. You know, I'll explain here in a minute. I gotta put this in. Okay, so this thing is like 3 inches thick, right? So if you do a mortise part in here, you would make it fit on that chuck I showed you. You want to have it at least a 1/4 inch deep, so the teeth on the outside can grab it, right? If you do a tenon, same idea. It's just reversed, that you want to grab that piece that's sticking out. But when you're gouging in here, now you got 3 inches. Let's say you got a mortise that's a 1/2 inch. So you actually got, so you don't bottom out, you should probably go no deeper than 2 1/4. And that gives you the thickness of the bowl. You could do, well, I could go 2 1/2, probably get away with it. But that would be cutting it close. If you have any kind of problems and you're sanding, you got to remember you're sanding. But this is maple. You know, it depends on how much you take out. Again, you have to play with it and figure it out. I usually go down to about 2 1/4. I'll leave myself about 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch thickness wise before I get to a certain point and say, okay, I'll sand it and see what it looks like. I don't like real thin pieces, only because, especially when you're doing segmenting, because this is kind of a segmented piece. You never know. I did it once when it got real low, and I cut right through the side, and I had to cut the thing and shorten the height. I ended up it sold, but it was a pain, because now you're making twice as much work for yourself. Anyway, whatever works, if you're a turner, whatever works for you, you know. So, now people use bowl gouges to do the outside. I'm not, big on a bowl gouge, because I have to go, they're kind of a pain to deal with, but I'll show you what I'm talking about. Now, this is the reason why you did this too. Now, I've got that running up there. It gets dusty in here, so I'm going to do something here. Now, see, I'm not putting a lot of pressure on this. But here's one thing, when you put these things together, I can show you. Skinny, hardly anything off there. About 1.25 inches here. Skinny here. About 1 inch, a little bit over 1 inch. Nothing here except for that. But see, now when you're doing segmenting like this, you're always going to get off. You're always going to get this thing like this. It's not a problem because you're going to be taking. Now, I'm not relying too much on this circle on the backside because what happens is, like I explained earlier, I'm going to groove this, or not groove this, I'm going to concave this in a little bit more, so that thing's going away. I did that on purpose because I don't know, when I get to the last stage before I put this on here, I don't know which side I'm going to do. The inside is crucial here, and you can see if you're getting too close or how much you got to take off. Now I cut the corners off the 45 on my miter saw, and that was the reason, so I don't chip. So, but like I was saying, you see where all this stuff is going, right? The biggest problem I have is it goes through this. And it'll get on there. It's okay here, and it's okay, but I've got to get this one piece made, and then I've got to move this bracket in and out. So anyway, that's not a big deal. Well, I'm using pallet wood, so it's not like I'm buying anything. So, you can see what I'm starting to do here, all right? And the idea is I want to curve this as I'm working a little bit more. So, and this is what happens. Now, normally, I've seen other people wear this different stuff. If you're smart, not like me, you'll get some old, like, rain jacket, put it over it. Then that way you can peel it off at the end. I use an air compressor to blow my stuff off, but I just wanted to show you what it does. But this is the reason why I put this up, because you see this? And it goes that way. Now, the back part here, it shoots all the way over here. It shoots all the way over here. And I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to get off. I got some work to do and other stuff. I'm going to be doing Jeff's Train World here pretty soon. So I'll flip over to that in a bit. And I want to thank you for all showing up, the ones that have been watching me. Yes, I'm back. And I've got a lot of projects come down the pipe. And I'd like your comments and your questions. Please leave me a comment and a question. If you haven't been a subscriber, please subscribe. It'll let you know ahead of time when I'm going to be on. Thanks again for watching the Dutchman's Wood Shack. And remember now, if you're not making sawdust, you're just not making. Get with the program. Later. Huh.